The first movie is to show the superheroes of two universes joining together to fight one massive world-threatening event. It's the beginning of the multi-video arc comparing the 23-film Marvel Cinematic Universe to the 16-film DC animated movie universe. It's 2012's The Avengers versus Justice League War. I'll start with the stories this time since less people have seen Justice League War. Justice League War is about superheroes fighting parademons, then fighting a lot of parademons, then fighting Darkseid. The end. Alright, there's more to it than that, but not as much as you would expect. The heroes are encountering mother boxes being planted by the parademons. One injures Victor Stone, forcing his father to use cybernetics to save his life, thus making him cyborg. Batman and Green Lantern do a lot of bickering until Batman gives Green Lantern a speech to make him behave.
This is bigger than I am, and it's bigger than you are. Get out of your own way. Focus on what's important here. Everyone else.
Superman gets captured by parademons and almost turned into one until Batman saves him. Wonder Woman tastes ice cream for the first time. That's honestly the bulk of the story here. There's not much to talk about. Now the one everyone has seen. The Avengers. It's a simple story about a boy who travels to Earth using a magic cube and using a magic staff to kill people and take over people's minds. Meanwhile, another boy tells another boy and a girl to gather together a group of 4 other boys and the original girl. They fight amongst themselves until they capture the original boy, who is actually planning on disrupting the new group when one of the boys turns green and starts wrecking stuff. The original boy goes into the big city to make a name for himself, but the new group of boys and girl, who are joined by another boy who had his mind controlled by the original boy, joins them and they try to stop the original boy's big city goal. It seems so simple when you put it like that.
That was the plan. Not a great plan.
Honestly, the story for the Avengers is a bit muddled, but it's told fluidly. The focus is less on the story and more on characters, but by the very nature that it has a story means pretty much it wins by default. Justice League War feels less like a story and more like just big events happening and people showing up at them. Darkseid is the only one who has any real control of the story, and he has almost no character to speak of. It's a point for Marvel.
Well, let me know if Real Power wants a magazine or something.
He really grows on you, doesn't he?
In The Avengers, we have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, and Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. The team is largely portrayed as larger-than-life figures who have to come together to face something way bigger than they are. Way bigger than even Tony Stark's ego.
How does it look?
Like Christmas, but with more me.
This results in lots of infighting. That is also contributed to by Loki's scepter. 4 of these characters got at least one movie to introduce them and develop their personal story. The other 2 appeared in a previous movie, with Hawkeye really getting the short straw, only getting a cameo in Thor and having his mind controlled through most of this movie. Still, the other 5 are seen as flawed characters that aren't really meant to work together, but realize they have to for the greater good. The characters are the real strength of this movie. Justice League War shows a selection of superheroes that are cocky and confident and pretty much assholes all around. Here they are, in order of alright to complete asshole. Probably the one who works out best is Wonder Woman, as voiced by Michelle Monaghan. She apparently has a history enough to be protested against, but also hasn't had ice cream.
What are you eating?
Ice cream.
Is it good?
Right.
So she's been here long enough to be known, but not long at all? She's a strong warrior and a strong hero. She also doesn't have much of a focus. Her big moment is when she takes out Darkseid's eye. The second best would have to be Barry Allen, aka The Flash, as voiced by Christopher Gorham. He doesn't get much character stuff here. He brought a mother box to Silas Stone and did some cool stuff in the fight against Darkseid, including taking out a second eye. Next has to be Superman, as voiced by Alan Tudyk. He's not quite your average Superman, being a bit more callous and fighting with Green Lantern and Batman in the beginning.
What are these boxes for? Talk while you still can.
But overall, just a superpower hero that is there. He is captured by Darkseid and Desaad tries to convert him, but Batman stops it. It's his biggest plot point, but since Batman saves him, he has very little to do in it. Now we have Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, as voiced by Shamar Moore. He's the one character who gets a full origin in this movie. He starts as a football player who is ignored by his father. He confronts his father about it and ends up in an accident with a mother box, which was partially caused by his own stupidity. His father rushes him to a chamber where he is infused with cybernetic parts, which save his life, but turn him into a cyborg. Then he helps save the day, and then his father is there to see him be honored as a hero, which is very questionable storytelling. Silas is presented as someone who cares more for his work than for his son, and the son has to become part of his father's work to get his attention. That's messed up. Now we get to the bad, though. We get to Billy Batson, aka Shazam, voiced by Zach Callison and Sean Astin respectively. Billy is a huge fan of the football career of Victor Stone, so much so he steals his jersey. He acts annoyed by Freddie and Darla, who want him to appreciate his foster family more because they are concerned for him. This is honestly a lot of stuff that was handled better in the 2019 movie.
That's not funny.
Next is Batman, as voiced by Jason O'Mara. He spends a good chunk this movie bickering with Green Lantern and asserting that he doesn't need help because he's Batman, or some nonsense you get with him, usually by fans on the internet. And by far the worst, Green Lantern, as voiced by Justin Kirk. He acts like he can do anything and beat up anyone, and it's insufferable.
Wait here. I got this. No offense. You just get in the way. Here's the plan. Green Lantern kicks Superman's ass. TMZ's got the video.
He gets in the way and acts impulsively at every step. I understand it's part of his arc and Batman gives him the speech, but by that point, we don't care. He's never charming, so his cockiness is just annoying, and by the time he's slightly progressed as a character, you simply do not care. This is seriously why the MCU approach is better. Justice League's main characters are acting like they should at the beginning of their solo movies. In the Avengers, these characters had time to grow and develop on their own before meeting with the others. Here, we are meeting them at their worst selves. The focus should be on big personalities learning to work together as a team, not learning how not to be an asshole with everyone you meet. The Avengers feud a bit, but it's different approaches. Characters used to going solo having to figure out how to work as a team. In Justice League War, they are just jerks. It's an easy point for Marvel here.
Why shouldn't the guy let off a little steam?
You know damn well why. Back off.
Oh, I'm starting to want you to make me.
Justice League War goes all in with their first villain being Darkseid himself, as voiced by Steve Blum. He is invading Earth and is super powerful. That's it. Honestly, Desaad, as voiced by Bruce Thomas, is a bit more interesting because his character is allowed to have some flavor and chew the scenery a bit.
I can splice your Kryptonian genetic code to create a new form. A super parademon in the service of Darkseid.
Darkseid is just evil and wants to conquer Earth, and that's all we get. On the other end, we have Tom Hiddleston's Loki. It's easy to forget that no one was impressed with Hiddleston's Loki when Thor came out. He wasn't bad at all, but his plan was so convoluted it really diluted his performance, which was outstanding. In the Avengers, he gets his chance to shine and become the Marvel villain we all know now.
Cast out! Defeated!
I was a king!
The rightful king of Asgard. Betrayed.
He's essentially just a lost soul trying to find his place in the world. Unfortunately, he's also a complete narcissist, so he assumes his place in the world must be ruling it. His plan is fairly wonky with how he gets captured with the goal of unleashing the Hulk just to try to disable the world's heroes. Wouldn't it just be easier to hide out? But it allows for all the characters to interact and develop. He's not perfect, but he is really good and has quite a bit more to him than Darkseid. Point for Marvel.
In the end, you will always kneel.
Not to men like you.
There are no men like me.
There are always men like you.
Avengers has some great supporting characters, including Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Cobie Smulders as Maria Hill, Sam Wheat as Dalton, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, and Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson. All these supporting characters are fantastic and memorable, each helping flesh out the main team while also having a nice bit of characterization in their own right. Nick Fury, by far, has the most, being the one who has to pull the team together, and Dalton...
Way to go, kid!
Pain don't hurt.
Justice League War is rather overloaded with its major characters. Its minor character list is incredibly low. You have Rocky Carroll as Silas Stone, Kimberly Brooks as Darla, Georgie Kidder as Freddy, Johnny Castle as Dalton, George Newbern as Steve Trevor, and these characters mean less and less as we go. With the exception of Dalton, nobody stands out significantly. They're just there.
When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Silas has a little story behind him, but it's undermined by how his son literally had to become one of his experiments for him to give a crap. This isn't a strong showing for supporting characters. This isn't even close again. It's a point for Marvel.
Those cards. They were in Coulson's locker, not in his jacket.
They needed the push.
The animation house at Warner Brothers for DC direct-to-video projects is top-notch. They really do amazing stuff, perhaps the best you can get as far as American animation outside of Disney. The colors are vibrant and the animation is flowing and clear. These are not features that Marvel's animation projects always get done.
Hulk!
Said, leave me alone!
This is the worst!
The Avengers has some skillful special effects and some great superhero shots, but also a very neutral lighting scheme. It doesn't look bad, but borderline TV levels of lighting where just everything is fully lit and looks unnatural. Still, I won't call it bad looking, it just doesn't help. My judgment in this category comes down to which movie I'd want to watch with it on mute if I had to. The answer is without doubt Justice League War. Neither movie is perfect visually, but the animation in Justice League War is far too interesting to ignore. It's a point for DC.
Sorry, I need this to save the world. Thanks for your help.
Alan Silvestri's score for the Avengers was truly outstanding. Sure, it's not the best score ever, and a fair bit is more forgettable than it should be. But when it's good, it's classic and really raises the movie's overall quality by a couple notches. The soundtrack for Justice League War by Kevin Cleach is pretty good. It's a serious highlight of the movie and another example of how the Warner Brothers and DC Animation House don't cut corners, or at least if they do, they make it hard to tell. At the end, this is no contest though. The most iconic score piece here is the Avengers theme, and it's better than anything in Justice League War by pretty much a mile. It's a point for Marvel.
If it's all the same to you, I'll have that drink now.
Both these movies are in many ways the same, but also different. The core story of wanting to bring a group of superpowered people to fight a supervillain and save the world. Justice League does this largely through action, having the heroes fight each other and parademons and Darkseid. Avengers has some infighting as well, fighting Loki and the Chitauri. However, Avengers is also more character-based, which it can easily be with its over an hour more of runtime. That being said, they didn't have to make Justice League War so rushed. They've done two-part movies before. It also shows the flaw of introducing us to these characters all at once. We don't even know them, and they are already fighting each other. Some solo movies between this and Flashpoint Paradox would have been nice. Both movies do successfully tell their story clearly, but The Avengers is much more enjoyable, and the 140 minutes with that movie fly by much faster than the 80 minutes with Justice League War. It's another point for Marvel.
Puny God.
This one is a mixed bag. Justice League War is one of the worst entries in the DC direct-to-video movies of the past 15 years. Yet, this series has to start somewhere, and these two movies have so much in common. Plus, talking about the Avengers always provides a view bump, so yay. Say what you will about Justice League War. Got a great amount of talent behind it, who have done many great movies. From a technical perspective, Justice League War was done fantastically. It's just a real letdown in the story, and especially in the portrayal of the characters. That being said, it is hardly fair since The Avengers was kind of amazing in how well it worked despite all it had going against it. My poll really reflected that most of you enjoyed Justice League War more than me, but also acknowledge The Avengers is something special. With the cast, score, and character-focused story, it really brought the movie together in a way that few comic book movies ever accomplish, and honestly none had done it before. Justice League War has its strengths, but this is a clear win for Marvel.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.